Hey friends, it's Laura with Laura B. Flosstube. Welcome or welcome back. I'm so glad you joined me today. Hey, I am so excited because this is Flosstube 57. And at this point, I have over 5,500 subscribers. I don't even know how that jump happened, but it did in the last few weeks, and I love it. I love seeing all the interaction, all the comments, all the suggestions on some of my latest videos. It's been super fun to interact with you guys and to catch you up on what I'm doing. So what am I doing? I have all kinds of stuff to share today. I have cross stitch updates, quilting updates, other craft updates, and I even have my May goals listed out so I can share those with you as well. Now, when you were looking at my May goals though, don't be judging me if all of them don't happen because I was a little overzealous with my goals for May. All right, so without further ado, we're going to get started with cross stitch because I have a new project kitted up to share. In Flosstube 56, I was telling you about a couple patterns I got that's by Told in the Garden, and one of them is called the Sisters Quilt. Now, unfortunately, I cannot share the pattern with you because there's like no picture, and I still haven't been able to find one. So I'm going to be kind of stitching this blindly, I guess. It's going to be super cute though, and it's just like a little bookmark by Told in the Garden from way back in the day. I have not been able to find it online, but I still feel a little weird about sharing the pattern, like a screenshot or whatever, with you here. So I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm just going to show you what I'm going to be using, the flosses, the fabric, and my cute little project bag. So the project bag is my red, white, and blue. I'm just kind of repurposing it from another chart that I got done. And I am using 28 count Lugana cloth. This was actually from another project that I decided not to do, but it's the right size because this chart is only around 2.5 by 3.5. So it should be a fairly quick stitch, but it is pretty much like a all over stitch design. So there's definitely going to be a lot of little X's to make. And then as far as my floss, I'm going to be using DMC floss colors, and I'm just going to show you the box here. The only one that I'm not DMC, I'm using Anchor floss colors, and here are the colors that I've selected. Let me flip all these down so you can see them. So here are the colors. The only exception to the Anchor floss is the one DMC because I really want a true black, and I don't have a true black with my Anchor floss. I'm sure they make one, I just don't have it. So instead of going and buying another Anchor floss, I decided to use my DMC. If you saw my floss organization video, you will know why I didn't go and buy another floss. I have so much floss, you guys, it is ridiculous. So instead of buying more and more and more, I'm going to try to use up what I have, although I know I'm not going to use it up, but I'm going to use what I have and substitute between the two companies and just get the colors that I need. So here are the colors that I'm going to be using, and this again is going to be for Told in the Garden Sisters Quilt, and I unfortunately don't have a photo of it, and all I have is a chart. So as I'm stitching, I will share my progress, and then when it's finished, we'll all get to see what it looks like together. The next stitch that I made progress on is the Lori Holt You Are the Boss of Your Own Quilt. And so here's the chart, or the cover of it, and what it's supposed to look like when it's finished. And I set a goal for May to get 3 more squares done, and those are completed. I did the 3 right over here in the row. So I have 3 left to go, and you'll notice I do have a little start on this square at the top, but that's because I had some yellow left over here. So I thought, well, instead of, just waiting or saving it till next time or whatever, I decided just to go ahead and stitch it out. So here are the 3 that I've finished for this month. Now, I will say there is a mistake in this one. Not a mistake. There is a misstitch in this one because it has a story, and I decided to leave it. So my husband and I went to Kansas City last weekend for the NASCAR race, and we have a 1971 little MGB, and our friend went with us and took his 1960 MGA. And we had a great time. There was a car show beforehand that we got to put our little cars in. And then it was going to start raining. But as I was sitting there at the car show, there was this little girl walking around, and she came over to me and she was like, "That is so pretty." And she was so interested in the cross stitch, and she just kept standing there and looking at it. And so I was talking to her about cross stitch and just crafting in general. And I asked her if she'd done anything like that. And she said no. And I said, have you sewn with anything before? And she's like, no. And I was like, oh, I was like, well, it's pretty easy. It's just little X's. You just want to make sure they kind of all go the same way and they're all lined up, but it's pretty easy. You can, you could figure it out. And so she seemed very interested, so I decided to go ahead and let her put in a few stitches on my project. Now, I knew they were not going to turn out very well, and I knew they probably wouldn't be lined up correctly, but you know what? You have to inspire the next generation in any way that you can. So I decided to go ahead, and she put in her little stitches, and she almost pulled the needle off the thread the first time through, of course. And I was like, no, wait, you gotta, don't pull so hard. You gotta make sure your thread doesn't come out of the needle because you have to rethread it. And that's kind of a bummer if that happens. So she got better at that. And then I started to where I was like going up in a hole and she would pull it through, and I go down in the next hole and she'd pull it through. And we just kind of went back and forth with that. And she put in several little stitches, but she did put in a couple by herself. And those were not lined up exactly correct, but I made it work with the rest of the design. So a couple of the little blue X's are not my stitches, but it's going to be a constant reminder to me that I hopefully inspired the next generation to take up this wonderful world of crafting and creating. And I think that she really did find some joy that day. So that is well worth it. More important to me than all of my X's being perfect in my stitch. So I would just encourage you to just think about that when you're out stitching and you see someone that, it's probably not going to be perfect. And of course I could have ripped the stitches out after she left, but I really didn't want to do that because I thought, you know what? No, this is a memory and I want to retain that memory for my future. And plus I just wanted to make sure that she knew that what she did was good enough. And we talked about how she was asking me what the name of the chart was, and I was telling her about that, and I was telling her how, when you're creating something and you're crafting something, it's really ultimately your decision what it's going to turn out to be like. If you don't like the way the pattern is written, or you don't like the colors, or you don't like the layout, you just change it and you make it your own. And there really aren't any rules when it comes to creating something like this for yourself. So that's my little spiel on my You Are the Boss progress for my cross stitch. So then I also have, I'm so excited to share this, I have 2 finishes. Now they're not fully finished yet, but the stitching is done. Let me grab the first one and we'll talk about it. Okay, so you might recognize this bag. This is the Durene Jones Christmas Stitch Along 2023 bag that I've been using. And my May goal was to get the snowman done, and I still had one more square to go after that, but check it out. I have it finished. I'm so excited about this. So I have the little snowman done, and I have the little Santa Claus done in the middle. Now, I used anchor flosses for these, and I'm just going to tell you that his mustache is way darker than it should have been, and I could have taken it out and redone it, but then I was like, you know what, it's fine. I don't need to be that crazy and controlling with my cross stitch, I guess. But so anyway, but this is done. The Durene Jones Christmas Stitch Along from 2023. This is a free stitch along that she hosted on her Facebook group, and I think you can still find the charts out there. So if you like this, you should go and check them out. And there should be a link in the description box below for you to do that. So now I just need to get this pressed and starched really well and then framed, and this will be a done deal. If that wasn't exciting enough, I have another finish to share with you, and you will never in a million years guess what it is. I cannot wait to show you this finish. Do you recognize this bag? Because this bag has been in my pile for over a year. This was last year's birthday start. So if you've been following along, you may know what I'm getting ready to show you. Super, super excited. I have the Featherweight Stitch completed. Can you believe that? All of the stitching, all of the back stitching, all of it is complete. Now I chose not to do the other portion of this chart where you see the face plate. It was going to be like up here somewhere, but like for a different view. I decided not to do that because I just wanted this, just this. So now I have the Singer Featherweight Stitch in my beautiful teal color to match my featherweight completed. And so obviously this needs pressed and starched and framed, and then it will be finished and be hanging on my wall. I was thinking about putting in some additional back stitching to kind of, you know, commemorate my featherweight and put in the year or the model number or something like that I have, kind of like a reminder of why I did this stitch. But I really like it just the way it is, so I think I'm just going to leave it the way it is and be happy with it. Can you believe I got that featherweight done? I cannot believe the featherweight stitch is done. I have been working on that for like 15 months, 14 months. So it is finished and I am so super excited. The other cross stitch projects that I have in my pile right now are the Houses on Pumpkin Lane by Pansy Patch Quilts and Stitchery. And I want to make a correction. In Flosstube 56, I misspoke. I don't even know how I got these two mixed up, but I misspoke and I said that was a chart by Pinker and Pumpkin. It is not. The Houses on Pumpkin Lane is by Pansy Patch Quilts and Stitchery. Lori, I am so sorry. That was just so silly of me to mix those two up. I don't know what I was thinking. But anyway, for May, I want to start the second house for the Houses on Pumpkin Lane. I have not started it, so I have nothing to show you. So that one's still in the pile in the other room. The other cross-stitch chart that I'm working on is the 1990 Prairie Schooler Santa, the annual Santa that they used to put out, and they actually still do. And so that one I haven't made any progress on either, so I have nothing to share, so he's not in here either. So that is pretty much all of my cross-stitch progress. I did mention just a few minutes ago, I did release a video last week, 2 weeks ago, on how I store my floss. That was something that many of you had asked me to do. So I put together a video just showing how I store my DMC and my anchor flosses. There was a question in that about the anchor floss on what I use those for, but they're actually, it's just embroidery floss on a spool. It's on a plastic spool. So I use them for cross stitch. It's still the 6-ply embroidery thread. It's just wound on a spool, and I've found that it just doesn't tangle as much as DMC, so I really like that. And then I also had someone comment that for storage, when they get their spools of anchor, they go ahead and put them on the floss biddies, on the floss drops. So that's a great idea, and I might consider doing that when I start spools, when I start using a spool, just to go ahead and, you know, put it on a floss drop. But for now, I'm just leaving them on the spools because I really kind of like how they look, and I don't know, it's just kind of fun using the thread off the spool. So that is all of my cross stitch stuff. If that's why you were here, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time. If you'd still like to hang around and hear about the quilting adventures I've gotten myself into, stay tuned because I'm going to switch some things around and we're going to talk about that in just a second. All right, so my first quilting adventure, I told you last time I went to my brother's and I quilted 4 of the quilts that someone was hiring me to do, and I also, it was actually 5 quilts that I was hired to quilt, but the 4 that I was hired to make were, you know, a complete do. She had me assemble the tops and pick the designs and do all the quilting, and then also the finishing and the binding. So all of those were completed. I'm going to insert some pictures here. There was a dragon, which I think is super cool. There was also the elephant, which again, super cool. I think the elephant was for her brother. The dragon, I believe, was for her grandson or granddaughter. I don't remember which. Grandkid. So the elephant was for her brother, and then we also have a great big peacock, which I believe she said she's keeping for herself. So it's so pretty, and the fabric on the back of that quilt was so incredibly gorgeous. It was a kit that she had purchased, I don't know, many years ago, and it had just been sitting in her pile, and she just hadn't gotten around to doing it. And now she's decided she likes embroidery on the quilts more than putting the quilts together. So that's why she had me put these together for her. And the final one was a panel with bears on it, and this one was for her husband. So it's a little longer than wide. The proportions are a little different than what I would normally do, but because of the backing fabric that she purchased and just the way the colors and the fabrics that she purchased for me to work with, this is just the kind of the way it turned out. So those are the 4 quilts that I got quilted and finished. She picked them up. She's super happy with them. So that makes me very happy as well. As I am still doing the Moda Blockhead challenge. It's a weekly block with Moda, and I am about a week and a half behind, I guess, or I guess a week behind. I don't have the May 8th block done. It's a lot of paper piecing again, and I just need to be in the right mindset to do paper piecing. So I put that one to the side for a few days. I may try to get that done before the next block comes out tomorrow, but we'll see how the day goes. So I am current with my Moda Blockheads except for the last block. So I guess I'm a week behind, basically. That's what I'll say with that. But here's a picture of one of the other blocks that I did recently finish for Moda Blockhead. And then I have made some serious progress on the Christmas tree quilt. And in fact, you're going to get a little sneak peek. You're going to get to see this before the video is released. But I have the quilt center, the tree itself. The tree is together. And my next video that will be coming out, I believe next week, will be about those outside borders. So I'm going to flip this around and let you see the quilt top center, which has the Christmas tree quilt on it. Okay, so I wanted to stand over here by it because I wanted you to be able to see how big this quilt is and how tall my tree is. So I am 5'3", although I tell people I'm 5'6" in the right shoes, but I'm probably not. So anyway, this is the center of my Christmas tree quilt, and it will get 3 outer borders. So there's 2 little sneaky peeky insider information you're getting just from watching my Flosstube before you get to see the Christmas tree quilt videos. So if you haven't watched those videos, make sure you check it out. I do have a complete playlist on my channel that lists all the videos in order that went from the very beginning of how I came up with this idea and how I came up with this design, and going all the way through the applique process, and like I said, the borders, and then the quilting and finishing videos will be releasing within the next few weeks. Okay, so since the Christmas tree quilt is almost done, you may be wondering what's next. Although if you've been watching along, you already know, but here I want to go over it one more time just so everyone knows. Coming up next, I had a really dear lady send me her duplicate copy of Perfect 10 Quilts from Fat Quarter Shop. And I went through and I chose a few different patterns, but then I ended up letting my stepdaughter choose which quilt that she would like to see, which quilt she would like to have for her new home this fall. And so we'll be making the Dutch chocolate quilt. This is what the pattern looks like. The pattern in the book is 65 by 84, but I'm going to be making it basically 84 square because she wants kind of like an oversized quilt for her bed. So this is what I'm going to be working on. I am going to be using yardage, not pre-cuts. So I'm going to be sharing some information on just how to change the pre-cut measurements into yardage and how to know how much to get. We did go shopping, so let me show you the fabrics that we've chosen. Now, I say that we went shopping and we chose fabrics, but really she chose the fabrics, and she wanted to kind of go with a Christmas theme, but not too Christmassy. So this is what she's come up with. We have a really nice kind of a taupe color for the background fabric, and these 3 will be for the focus prints for the blocks. Now we have went from a very scrappy look to a pretty controlled look, and in fact she's even said that she wants all of the blocks the same. So that's what we're going to be doing because of course it's for her and it's her quilt. So that's what we're doing. So these fabrics, let me see. This is the Essentials Graphic 45 by Wilmington Prints. And I got all of these fabrics at Apple Tree Quilting Center in Columbia, Missouri. That is my local quilt shop, and I love them so much. They are amazing. This is a Studio 37 fabric called Spice Bazaar. Let me get that closer so you can see. Isn't that sweet? And that's where we pulled the background color from, is the little flowers on this one. And then this last one is, let's see, who is this? Isn't this hilarious? I didn't even look to see who it was. It's a Bernitex. It's a Bernitex Painted Sky Studio. It's called Samsara. And this it's a black background with the red and kind of a little gold that matches the gold fabric that she picked too. So those are the 3 focal fabrics, and then we just have a Moda background fabric, and it's kind of a taupey color. To be quite honest with you, I don't know which one this is. I didn't even pay attention to the bolt. I just knew I needed so much, and that's what we got. So here are the fabrics for the upcoming Dutch chocolate quilt sew-along that I'm going to be hosting here on my YouTube channel. Be watching for that to start somewhere towards the beginning to middle of June. I'm thinking in my next floss tube I'll have a better date to give you. I just need to get the Christmas tree quilt done and have those videos wrapping up and then see where I'm at so I can start that next quilt sew-along project for you guys. Okay, so actually I was looking at my receipt in the bag, and the background fabric is a Bella Solid and it's flax. So if you, I don't know, if for some reason you want to know what that fabric color is, it's flax, Bella Solid. I showed the patterns and things that I got from Fat Quarter Shop last time, and I mentioned that I had a kit ordered. My kit for how to build a scarecrow has arrived, so I need to get busy. Whew. I need to get busy cutting and tracing shapes and all of that good stuff. Hopefully you caught my video. I did a video on organizing my Sew Simple shapes and just how I control the madness of all those shapes and all those sets. So check that out if you haven't. And that should be listed on my YouTube channel under tutorials and quilting both, if you can't find it just in the videos. And I'll try to link it in the description box below as well, just so it's easier. But yeah, this is a beautiful kit. Oh my gosh. When I opened this box, I was so excited because they have all of these gorgeous, gorgeous autumn fabrics. So this is Autumn by Riley Blake, designers Lori Holt. And all of these fabrics are in here, and they're just, I mean, Fat Quarter Shop does an amazing job. They put all of the, I think these are the fat eighths, or they might be the fat quarters actually, but they're all in here in beautiful, beautiful order. And then all of the other fabrics are stacked in the box as best as they can in the order of the cutting guide. But this time the cutting guide had so many different sizes that I think it was probably hard for them to stack these in the order of the cutting guide. Normally it is, but this time it was not. So I'll have to go through and put all these fabrics in order before I start cutting them. I just like doing that because it speeds up my cutting process. It's a lot easier to, you know, just find them in one pile and when I'm cutting through the cutting guide. So yeah, this is Autumn by Riley Blake, designers Lori Holt, and this is the kit from Fat Quarter Shop on how to build a scarecrow. Now that quilt along is starting on Lori's blog on May 20th. In fact, she has her first post out there. I think it was like April 29th. She put the first post out there telling you how to do the blocks that go around the outside edge that are all pieced blocks, not applique. So even if you don't like applique, I would encourage you to go and check out her YouTube channel and look at that pieced block, because it's a really pretty pieced block on that outer border of how to build a scarecrow. So even if you're not into applique, go and grab the free block pattern, and then you can have that for your pile of things to do. All right, as far as other quilting items, I did release a second quilting video last week on repurposing vintage quilts. So check that out. I give a lot of good ideas, and some decisions were made in the video, and then some decisions have been made after the video too. But you'll have to stay tuned and see for sure what I do with all of those things I inherited from a friend of a friend. But that's a pretty cool video to watch if you are a quilter, like many of us are. A lot of times when people find that out, they're like, hey, I have this pile of stuff. Do you want it? And sometimes it's like, well, I do, but what am I going to do with it? So I try to give you some ideas of how to repurpose some vintage quilts. You know, kind of just looking at them and deciding, is this a quilt that I can just gift someone or donate to a charity, or is this something that needs to be repurposed? And if I am going to repurpose it, what am I going to do with it? And then I also have, there were also some embroidered projects in that pile as well. So I give some ideas on what I'm going to do with those. So check that video out if you haven't. And that kind of wraps up my quilting segment for today. If you've been watching for very long, you know that I get myself into all kinds of trouble when it comes to my husband, because he's a charmer. I tell you what, he's a cutie pie. So anything he wants, most of the time he gets. But this one, I was a holdout. I was a holdout for months. I told him no. I said, no, 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 no. I had a million reasons why I didn't want to do this. I still kind of have the reasons that I don't want to do this, but we're going to do it because, you know, I have a sewing machine, so I should be able to make anything with it, right? Oof. So he started collecting vintage cufflinks about a year ago, and he has quite the collection. He also has quite the collection of French cuff shirts that he's purchased. But as I had mentioned earlier, we have this cute little 1971 MGB classic car. It's a British sports car. It's adorable, and I love this car. We also have an MGA that's in restoration mode, and he wants a French cuff shirt made out of British car fabric. He found the fabric, of course, and then he's like, well, how am I going to get this made? Can't you make me a French cuff shirt? And I'm like, no. And he's like, please. And I'm like, no. He's like, please. And I'm like, no. And so he's like, please. And I was like, Chris, you don't understand. This is not the same as quilting. Tailoring is not the same as quilting. It is not. Making a shirt, a long sleeve French cuff shirt, is not the same as quilting. But here we are with the pattern. So guess what I'm going to be doing? I have the interfacing, and I told him, so here's the deal. We need to measure you, need to figure out the size, and all that information is on the back. It's not like I haven't used a pattern before. It's not like I haven't made things before. I just don't like it. And I don't feel like I'm very good at it. But we're going to go slow, and we're going to question our sanity. And we're going to try to make a French cuff shirt. But I told him I want to make the first one out of something that if it doesn't work out, I can just get mad and burn it. So we're not using British sports car fabric for the first shirt that I attempt to make. I also have cautioned him that if I make the first one and it is awful and I cannot figure it out and it gives me great anxiety and stress, that there will not be another one. So he understands this. I hope he understands this. But this is the journey I'm going on. And by the way, this Mimi G style, they have YouTube videos, and she's pretty good. And there's a guy that walks you through making this shirt. And they're doing stuff with this shirt that I've never seen done in my life. I don't know what I've gotten myself into. It's going to be a journey. So I will give you updates on this. I don't know exactly when it's going to happen. It needs to happen soon because he's kind of impatient at times, but, and I don't want to wait around too long to the point that I talk myself out of it again. But, I have the pattern, so I have to make it, right? Yeah, this is my other crafty goal. Last but not least, let's talk May goals. So last video, I did not share my May goals because I hadn't made them. I have now, and a couple of them are marked off. So that's kind of cool. So for cross stitch, let's see. The Lori Holt, You Are the Boss, 3 more squares. Got it done. The Featherweight Progress, I finished that. Yay. Durene Jones, I finished it. Yay. 1990 Prairie Schooler Santa, I put down finish. We'll see how that goes. I want to start Told in the Garden for the Sisters quilt, which I showed you is kitted up. I just need to start stitching. And if I get a couple stitches, yay. And then I also want to start the second house for Pumpkin House, Pumpkin Lane, which is Pansy Patch Quilts and Stitchery. So I haven't started that, but I plan to in the next few weeks probably. Quilting, I want to finish that Christmas tree quilt. I want to stay current with Moda Blockheads. Right now I'm a week behind, but I'm okay with that. I also want to start the Dutch chocolate quilt, hopefully towards the end of May, but those videos probably won't be posting until June. And then I would like to put together some angel wing quilts for donation for the Easter baskets for next year. I just want to do some quick, simple quilts for them. So I put down 4. I think that if I could set aside a day, maybe half a day, I could probably get that goal done pretty quickly. So we'll see how that goes too. I also have a new section down here called videos because you guys give me ideas and I'm like, oh, that is a great idea. I should show how to do that. And then I don't do it. But I do have a couple of them marked off the list already that I did. The So Simple Shapes that I mentioned before and the Floss organization, which I also mentioned before. Those 2 are done and posted. But I do have a few more to do. And one of them is actually this video, so that's good. But I would like to do the thimble pin video showing you how to make those little thimble pins that I made probably about a year ago, I believe. These were super cute, and I had a lot of people asking me for a video on how to make those, and I just haven't done it. I'd also like to do a video on how to do my project bags, because again, I've had several of you asking me for that. So we'll see how those 2 things go. Like I said, don't hold me to it, but it is on the list. And if I don't get it done this month, then I'll carry it over and eventually they will get done. If there's another video, something that you've seen that I do or you have questions about that you would like me to show, feel free to put that in the comments below. I do read all the comments. I try to respond to all the comments as well. So don't think that I am just like telling you to do something and I'm not going to follow up, because I will. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at today. So that is a lot of stuff, right? This video turned out to be like half an hour long, which is crazy. But I have done a lot of stuff this last 2.5 weeks. So thank you so much again for joining me. I appreciate your time. Thank you for sharing your creative ideas. I really do read through those and think, that's a great way. I never thought of that. So that's amazing. Thank you for liking the videos, subscribing to the channel, and sharing the videos out. All of those things really help me out and I appreciate it immensely. Until next time, find some time to be creative and crafty, and make sure it's always happy stitching.